Hello again, Steve here with a question. What if we were to abandon our best accounts, our most productive accounts, our accounts that without them we're not able to perform in other ways? Our other accounts won't perform, for example. I use the term account here as an analogy, as a metaphor for many other things in life. For example, I'll use a few others, but let's start with this one. For example, if you are an investor or I'm an investor and I have various different accounts, maybe there's one for mining stocks, maybe there's one for financial stocks, and another for whatever it is that we put our efforts into. We think that that is going to give us a good return on the storing of our saved up value in the form of money. Let's suppose we had that. Well, wouldn't we want the best management of that? Wouldn't we want to make sure that the right products are in there, the optimal stocks are in there, and that we take care of it so that it has a good return? We wouldn't just want to abuse that account by throwing in willy-nilly junk stocks that could just tank tomorrow. I mean, that they might tank tomorrow anyway, but we wouldn't deliberately do that, I would say. We wouldn't. Another analogy to look at would be if we had a herd of cows that were milk cows, right? We were dairy farmers. We would want to maintain those cows that were productive as best we could. We wouldn't want to take the best producing cow and abuse it, because by abusing it, obviously it's not going to produce as much milk, as good a quality of milk. That makes perfect sense. Then my question is, why is it we would deliberately abuse our most important account? That is to say, ourselves, right? Our bodies, our mentality, our emotional health, all of that. Why would we neglect that? Why would we abandon it at times and not do the things that are best for those? It's an interesting question, isn't it? I think sometimes we go into other areas, go into investment, go into chasing other things in lieu of looking after ourselves, because it's a distraction. But what happens is, if through doing that we degrade our individuated person, then we cannot do that as effectively. And as an anecdote, once again, it's not a great argument perhaps, but it is an anecdote, a little story, has to do with what my wife told me very recently. She works for a company where there, of course, in every company you have a hierarchy of the workers and the supervisors, whatever, and then the management, etc., right, up into the executives. And in her department, she's kind of moved up into a little bit of a supervisory position, you might say. But then she gets along very well with the department manager. So the department manager talks to her a lot, they socialize once in a while and what have you. But she told me something that's distinctly different about the department manager, which is, here's the example. This last weekend, it was a long weekend, hot, most people went to the lake and had backyard barbecues and so on. What did the manager do? The manager went to a conference on her own dime where she spent several $100s to see motivational speakers, sales presentations, etc. Right? What was she doing? She was giving food to her mind and that part of her, to try to seek out other abilities to be able to be more effective as a manager. Whereas the lower workers, shall you say, were having their backyard barbecue at the same time that she's sitting in a conference rubbing shoulders with people who are working on themselves in a positive way. It's not to say that a backyard barbecue isn't working on ourselves. It can be. We can help to develop our skills, interpersonal skills, our way of getting along with people and so on, but it's a different level, right? Because we can always have a backyard barbecue and it doesn't cost a whole lot. If somebody comes out of pocket several $100s to go to a conference, to learn and to rub shoulders and network with other people who are movers and shakers in their area of life, that is a significant difference, I think. So through this little story, I think we can learn something. We can learn that it is a human tendency to abandon the most important account, you might call it. I use it as an account in quotation marks. The most important account, which is ourselves. So we focus on the effects of ourselves, but then sometimes we abandon the prime mover of those effects. Like if I'm going to go out and get an account of whatever it is, or buy some cows, well, both of those involved the decisions that I'm going to make. So if I abandon the decision maker, or at least the programs and the hardware on which the decision maker runs, the body, the mind that runs it, the emotions and so on, if I don't give regular attention to that, regular exercise, nutritional consideration, what it is that I'm inputting into my mind in terms of maybe going to conferences, reading books, learning new skills, and learning how to deal with my own internal anxieties and what have you through emotional training and whatever. If I'm not doing all of that, then I'm really putting the cart before the horse, you might say. And in the long run, probably won't be as effective, right? Because if we constantly ignore the prime mover, then something's going to catch up with us. And we see that so often with people who become very successful. Their lives look like they're a complete mess in so many other ways. They can't keep relationships together. Their kids hate them. They got alcohol, drug, prostitution problems or whatever. The rich and famous, right? They can have a lot of problems too. And I think it has to do with going after the cart rather than focusing on the horse that's pulling that cart and making sure that it's fine and balanced. And what's happening with the body is confirmed by the mind, is confirmed by the emotions. And that we're not overriding one. We're not burying one up. We're honest. We're in good shape. You know, think about it. In order to have stamina, to do something for a long period of time, to be able to achieve those things on the outside, those business building activities and so on, you know, a lot of people will resort to popping pills and drinking lots of coffee and whatnot. Why? Because there's a lack of attention for strength in the body, as an example, or alertness or whatever. And not to say that those things are not valuable in certain situations. Certainly they are. But if we're doing it because we've ignored the physical fitness of the body, the nutrition requirements of the body, etc., if we're doing it because of that, then we are, I would say, abandoning our most important account, which is taking care of business of our individual selves, our body, our minds, and our emotions at least, from which we operate and are able to move forward in life on anything else. Just some thoughts on it anyways. Hope this is helpful. If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, and share, and comment in the box below. Steve here again, great chatting. Talk again soon. Bye for now.